Hey, it's Jeff, and today we're going to build these hexagonal planter boxes. Let's get to it. All right, so the first thing I want to do is apologize about the sound quality. It probably sounds a little reverby, there might be some echo. It's because I'm filming in my garage. There's no soundproofing in here, so hopefully it doesn't sound too bad, but we'll find out. All right, so a little bit of background before I go into the making of these planter boxes. Since we moved here, the wife and I, we really wanted to update the side of our house. I will show it on screen right now. It looks pretty good, but it's a little plain, it's a little boring, so we wanted to add some stuff to it. On top of that, we have a bunch of wood left over from when we built Liam's playset. So those two things combined kind of led us to where we are now. My wife had a great idea to build some hexagonal planter boxes, and that is what she has commissioned me to do, and that's what we're gonna do today. So what she wants is she wants 4 hexagonal planter boxes. That's a hexagon, right? Yes, okay. She wants 4 of those. She wants them to be roughly about 1.5 to 2 feet wide. And I looked at a couple pictures online, I looked at a few videos, I got some inspiration. I kind of combined that with my own design, and this is what we came up with. As we go along, I will explain everything I'm doing. I'll explain all the tools I'm using and all the items needed. I guess you could see this kind of as a tutorial. So follow along whether you're building 4 like me or if you're building 1, the steps are gonna be the same for every single one. So I am using pressure treated lumber for these. They are gonna be outside, they're gonna be in the weather, they're gonna be hit hard by the elements. So we want them to last long. If you're building yours for indoor use, you could just use regular lumber, that is your call. If you're only building 1, you're only gonna need 1 8-foot 2x6, and you're only gonna need 1 fence board. If you're building 4 like myself, the math works out where you could buy 3 8-foot 2x6s and 2 fence boards, and that should get you by. And then if you're building any amount in between there or more than that, I'm sure you can figure out the math yourself. Now, with all that being said, let's talk about the design I've come up with for these planter boxes. So the wood needed for these planter boxes is pretty simple. Basically, the hexagon itself is built out of 2x6s, and the pieces of wood to make the walls on the inside are just built out of fence boards. All right, now to explain the hexagon itself, each of the 6 sides is the exact same. They're all using the same shape of wood. It's this piece right here. The long side is from here to here is 11 inches, and the top side would be 9 1/4 inches, that's right, yeah. And the angles are cut at 60 degrees from the long side, and that goes out this way and this way, so it makes a trapezoid, as you can see. And then we're basically just gonna put the pieces together like this. That's gonna make 1/3 of the hexagon. All right, good stuff. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay, and then from there, we're dealing with these fence board pieces. There's gonna be 2 per planter box on each side. The top is gonna be 15 5/8 inches long. They go again at a 60-degree angle, just like the 2x6 pieces. And they come down to this portion here, which is gonna be 9 1/4 inches long. So that'll match up with this, just like that. Okay, with all that being said, it is time to start cutting some wood. Now, the first order of business is we are gonna cut these pieces right here. Like I said, it's 6 of these per hexagon, and I'm building 4, so I'm gonna need 24 of these all together. All the same, all identical. Okay, so there's a certain order to the way I'm gonna do these to make sure all these cuts are the exact same. I'm just gonna cut 12-inch lengths of the wood all to start. I'm not gonna do any angled cuts. They should all look like this, basically. And then from there, once I have all these, I'm gonna do the first 60-degree cut on all of them. I'm not gonna do the other side though, I'm gonna leave that for later. Okay, that should leave you with a piece that looks like this. From there, I'm gonna measure 9 1/4 inches to this side. Once I find that little marking, I'm gonna draw a line at 60 degrees down to the bottom, and then I'm gonna make my second cut. That'll leave you with a piece that looks like this, and here's your template for all the remaining pieces. So I'm basically gonna take my one finished piece and go put it back at the table saw. I'm gonna find out where the blade comes down at this angle, put it right there. I have a makeshift stop block here, you can make one yourself. You just make sure it's the same angled cut, and then I'm gonna clamp that right into the table saw so it gives me my perfect stop block. So that means every piece of wood that I put in there is going to be the correct size. This is not gonna move, so I know that they're all gonna be the exact same size. Thank you. Here, high five. Good work. Okay, so we got our 2x6 pieces cut. Again, these are all the exact same size. I got 24 of them for 4 planters. Next up, we are gonna do the fence board pieces. There's gonna be 2 per planter, so I need 8 altogether. These are gonna be 15 and 5/8 inches on the top. Again, you're looking at a 60-degree angle on either side, down to this side, which is gonna be 9 1/4 inches long. So with that being said, let's do some more cutting. So we got all of our fence board pieces cut. As you can see, there's 8 altogether. Now before we start assembling all this stuff, there's a couple more things I want to do. The first thing is I'm going to use my Orbital Sander, and I'm going to sand all of these raw cuts here. So there's 2 pieces per piece of wood, so that's like 48 cuts I got to do, plus the fence board, so that's a lot of sanding. I do have this 100 grit sandpaper. I'm not sure if it's going to be smooth enough, but we will find out. And on top of that, since these are raw cuts and they are now exposed to the elements, I'm going to reseal them with some sealant cut. Basically, I'm just gonna take a brush, take some of this stuff and apply it to all the cuts. So that will take some time, but it is going to help keep these a little bit more weatherproof and last a little bit longer. And yeah, with that said, let's get to it. This is gonna take a while. I think I might do this outside. Yep, gonna be a lot of dust. Yeah, so I moved everything outside and wow, it is hot out there, like really hot. So I sweat a lot from my head, and not that that's information you guys wanna know, but I am gonna put on a bandana and it looks kind of ridiculous. How do I look, huh? Do I look like a pirate? Yarr! Wow, I look stupid. Let's do this. All right, we got all of our pieces sanded and they have all been sealed. It is time to say goodbye to Pirate Jeffrey. Bye-bye. I'll see you later, yar. Okay, so it is now time for assembly, and the way we're gonna be connecting these pieces together is with pocket hole joinery. Okay, I'm gonna drill pocket holes in the 2x6s, and I'm going to be connecting them together with 1.5 inch pocket screws. Now these pocket hole screws, I did pick weather resistant ones naturally because they're gonna be outside, so that makes sense. Okay, so basically how this works is I'm gonna take the long side of my 2x6, I'm gonna put that against my pocket hole jig and lock it in there. Then I'm gonna drill a hole in the first side. I'm gonna move the board over, so it's right here, and drill a hole in the second side. Now I've set my depth at 1 1/4 inch. I know these are 1.5 inches thick, so normally you would go 1.5 inches for your pocket hole depth. But since there's the angle to consider, the 60-degree angle, I'm only setting it at 1 1/4. So the end result is gonna look like this. You're gonna have these 2 pocket holes here, and that's how you're gonna connect the pieces of wood together. And with that being said, I have a lot of pocket holes to drill, so let's get started. All right, so now that we have all of our pocket holes drilled, now we can finally assemble everything. And as mentioned, we are using pocket hole screws from Craig. They are weather resistant, they're 1.5 inches long, and you can find them on Amazon. I will provide the link in the description if you're interested. So the main reason I went with pocket holes and pocket hole screws is because I don't want you to be able to see any fasteners from the outside. But if you don't have a pocket hole jig and it's just not an option for you, you could screw from the outside in, and you would see the screws, but it's not a big deal. You could also use a nail gun or, old-fashioned hammer and nails. So whatever you have on hand. Like I said, I just wanted to go the pocket hole route for aesthetics. So totally your call. All right, so how this works is you're gonna take one of the pieces of wood, find the side with the pocket holes on it. You're gonna take another piece of wood, side without the pocket holes, and you're gonna join them like this. And then you screw the pocket holes in. The other thing we're gonna do is that we're actually gonna make each planter box in 2 halves. So I'm gonna screw 3 pieces together, and that's gonna be 1 half, and then another 3 pieces together, and that'll be the other half. The reason being is we have to put these fence boards in the bottom half. I'm also gonna add a liner just for extra protection, and it's gonna be a little bit hard to do that if the whole thing's assembled, so I'm breaking them down into 2 halves. Okay, so we have our 8 halves complete now. Before we connect them, like I said, we are gonna put these boards into each one. It's just gonna be easier to put them in now and then put a liner in there than trying to do it afterwards when you're working around the whole thing put together. Essentially, these just sit on either edge. You just press it in there. And the way I'm gonna fasten these is I'm just gonna use a nail gun attached to an air compressor. And this one's gonna make up the back side of the planter box. It's gonna be flush with the 2x6s. For the other side, I'm actually gonna take 2 of these pieces of wood, line them up like so they're totally flush. Once they are flush, I'm gonna remove the first board, and then I'm gonna nail this piece in. This gives the bottom of the planter box a nice little recessed edge here. Kind of gives a little bit more definition, looks a little bit better in my opinion. You don't have to do that if you don't want to, but I like it, so that's how I'm doing it. So with that being said, it is time to start nailing some wood. That did not sound good. Okay, so now that we have all the pieces together, the next step is I'm going to drill a drainage hole. This is just so anytime my wife is watering the plants, the water will flow through the dirt and actually fall at the bottom. Now I'm drilling quite a large hole. I'm using a hole saw bit. The reason being is because I'm gonna be putting plastic bags on the inside of these just to give a little bit more protection from the dirt. Whew, it's hot. Oh man. Now, if you're not using the plastic bags, I would not recommend using this hole saw bit because it's way too big. Dirt's just gonna fall through. Just maybe drill a couple holes in there with a pilot bit, that should be fine. Since I'm using the hole saw bit, I'm actually gonna line the inside with the plastic, and then I bought these on Amazon. They're these little desk covers and they have this little hole. So I'm basically gonna plug that in where the hole saw bit went through. And yeah, it's pretty much just gonna seal everything up with the plastic bag. There'll be a nice little drainage hole for the water to fall through. So for the plastic bags, all I'm gonna do basically is just use a combination of tacks and staples to hold it inside. I'm gonna kind of, lower it down a little bit so you can't see it from the edge. Once dirt's in there, it's gonna cover it all up because it's probably not gonna look that pretty. But like I said, once the dirt's in there and flour's in there, you're not gonna see it at all anyways. All right, the plastic lining is in all 4 of them now. Again, I know it's not the prettiest, but it is gonna add extra protection. The final step is to connect both halves of each hexagon and finally finish off these planters. Now we're gonna connect these again with the pocket hole screws, just like we did before, but you can't use a drill this time. Reason being is a drill's not gonna fit. Unless you have a small compact drill, it might, but mine's not gonna fit. So I gotta use old school screwdriver, and that's what we're gonna go with. So let's finally finish these things because it has been a long day. Let's do it. Okay, so small oversight on my part. Attaching these wasn't as simple as I thought it was gonna be. So getting the screws in these pocket holes right here is actually not a problem. That's pretty easy. It's this side right here that getting the screwdriver in there is not very, it's not gonna work. I tried a bunch of different things. I couldn't get it to fit. It's just because of this fence board here, it is recessed. So it just is perfectly in the way of that pocket hole. That was a huge oversight on my part. So to counter that, I'm just gonna use these 2.5-inch deck screws. I'm gonna put them on this side right there, drilling into it. I know it's gonna kind of ruin the no screws on the outside aesthetic, but it is what it is. Aside from this little corner, everything else is gonna look pretty good. And they're brown, they're gonna blend in, so it's not a huge deal. Just be aware of that if you are following along and you're doing your own. All right, they are finally done. I am happy that they turned out as planned, aside from a few minor hiccups. As you can see, they are nice and sturdy. So I guess the last thing to do is explain to you how I'm gonna mount these on the wall outside. So to get these on the wall, I'm gonna use a 1/2 inch drill bit. I'm gonna drill 2 holes on either side. I'll make sure that it's level. I'm gonna go about 1.5 inches deep. The reason I'm using a 1/2 inch drill bit is because I have these masonry screws. They're 3 inches long. I'm gonna be drilling those into the brick about 1.5 inches using a hammer drill. When I drill these into the wall, I'm gonna make sure that the same distance apart as the 2 holes on the back of the planter box. That way, when all is said and done, I can just slide the planter boxes onto the screws, and there you go. They are now mounted to the wall, so why am I still talking? Let's go do that. While we're out there, we're also gonna show the wife these planter boxes and hope that she approves, and hopefully we don't have to redo anything, so let's find out. Okay, so I've set the planter boxes up outside in front of our shed, and I'm gonna go get the wife and see what she thinks. All right, you want to come tell me what you think of these planter boxes?
All right.
All right. Do they meet your fancy?
Yes.
Do they meet your expectations?
They look amazing, honey.
Oh, good. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
They're the right size and everything?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, they look great. Can't wait to get my plants in them and get them on the wall.
Yeah, I feel like they'll look really good once you have the plants in them.
Yeah.
That'll really like complete the look of them.
Yeah.
Should we get them on the wall?
Sure.
Let's do this. My wife has been hard at work putting plants in the planter boxes now that they're mounted on the walls. So would these be considered wallflowers?
Oh my god.
Yeah? Good joke? No? No?
Pretty hard.
Please don't divorce me. Bye.